Good afternoon, everyone. So what I wanted to make this video about is the prevailing perception in the mass media that the People's Republic of China could mount a successful invasion of Taiwan and seize military control of the island. That is simply false, and it could not happen. So let's take a look at why I believe this is. And you have to look at Taiwan itself. It's an island off the coast of mainland China. It's about 200 miles from north to south and about 80 miles or so from east to west. It's made up predominantly of mountainous jungle terrain with coastal megacities. And if you look at this is the capital of Taipei, a very large cityscape. The city itself is made up of some of the tallest buildings in the world, and many of these buildings are made up of concrete and cement and designed to withstand cyclones. So again, many large urban areas with rivers. The coastal regions don't have a lot of landing areas that would facilitate landing a large mechanized force on the island. And even if you did that, you're looking at a lot of rice paddies and canals and rivers. It would just be a nightmare to conduct heavy mechanized operations on this island. If you look at the makeup of the Taiwanese military, the ground forces, there's actually three elements to the ground forces. There's about 100,000 plus ground forces, or the Taiwanese army. There is the next component, which is would be assigned to the Navy. That's the Taiwanese Marine Corps, which is about 10,000 personnel in strength, and they are predominantly designed to protect the outer islands. And then there is the Taiwanese military police, and that's, from my understanding, based mainly around the capital and provides security for the government, but does have a combat capacity. So if you look at, again, you have the main island 100 miles off the coast of mainland China. Then you have these outer islands that are occupied by the Republic of China, or Taiwan. So you can see even these outer islands are fairly urbanized with naval bases, Air Force facilities, and observation sites, air defense sites. And there's even islands closer, such as Kinmen, which, again, I'm not certain if China would need to seize Kinmen. I think that if there was going to be a military conflict, I think just for media purposes, China would attempt to seize Kinmen and say they've seized an island, and understanding how the media reports stuff, it could sound as if that gain would be greater than it actually is. But China would definitely need to seize this island here, otherwise it would be used to fire anti-ship missiles against vessels coming out of major ports. So let's just take a quick look at the Taiwanese army again. About 100 to 130,000 troops. Taiwan could probably rapidly mobilize up to about 200,000 more men within a month or two. And again, the Taiwanese would see that China would be massing forces in its ports because it would need to confiscate merchant marine vessels and so forth to transport large groups of forces to the actual island. The Taiwanese Air Force has about 400, 500 aircraft. It has about 140 F-16s, which are going through a modernization process to the F-16V, which is the most advanced F-16 currently on the market. That would be able to effectively go against the J-10s, J-11s, probably not the J-20s. But, we're not sure because that's not been tested yet. We haven't really seen modern Chinese aircraft get tested in terms of air-to-air aircraft. And we really haven't seen China, the People's Republic of China, nor Taiwan practice the operational art in terms of actual war fighting. We haven't seen that since the 70s when China attempted to invade Vietnam, which did not go very well for them. So the Navy of Taiwan is not very large. I don't think that would be much of an obstacle to negate for China. But that, again, that wouldn't be the biggest threat for China. It would be the Taiwanese Navy. It would be the Taiwanese Air Force. It's F-16s. They have about another 40, 50 Mirage 2000s. They are armed with the Harpoon anti-ship missiles. They have Exocets. They have their domestically produced anti-ship missile, which is a lot like the Harpoon. But they've also developed a hypersonic anti-ship missile that is currently active, and they also have producing their own anti-aircraft systems, kind of based off the American Patriot. They also have the American Patriot PAC-2 and PAC-3 systems. So just gaining air supremacy over Taiwan by the People's Republic of China is by no means guaranteed. I don't think China fully knows if it can gain air supremacy or even air dominance over Taiwan. It may be able to destroy air bases with its medium range and short range ballistic missile and cruise missile capacity, but being able to operate over Taiwan with its Hawk air defense systems, its domestic systems, and the Patriot systems, we don't know if China could in fact do that. It could become very difficult and very hazardous, and they could end up losing large amounts of aircraft operating near the main island of Taiwan. Could they blockade Taiwan? Sure. But I think Taiwan would control the political clock, meaning what would be the purpose of blockading Taiwan? What is your end goal? And if it's just a blockade, Well, that could go on indefinitely. And if the United States were then to somehow intervene in even a covert manner, it would make things very difficult for China. And if their objective is to gain control of Taiwan, I don't think a blockade would be viable. I think it would have to be all or nothing, and that all would define an actual amphibious invasion of Taiwan. So that amphibious invasion of Taiwan, a contested beach landing, which may not even happen because we don't know if China could gain air supremacy in order to bring forces over and land them on the actual island. You have to understand, as these, let's pretend as if they achieved air dominance, but not air supremacy, where they can actively overfly the island. As these vessels, these amphibious assault ships, are approaching Taiwan, Taiwan is going to be firing anti-ship missiles with ranges in excess of 100 miles, just as these Chinese vessels are leaving port. So they're going to be taking hits not long after departing. As they approach the designated beach areas and landing areas, Taiwan has the Apache, they have the Cobra gunship with Hellfire missiles. So those assets are going to be coming into play the closer the Chinese vessels get. As they get even closer, the Taiwanese are going to have very good intelligence as to where the Chinese are going to be landing. Because again, you're looking at a 100-mile ship distance between a port and a landing area. So with radar and intelligence, the Taiwanese are going to see the PRC coming. They just are. As they get to the beaches, meaning the People's Republic of China, they're going to come under fire from more missile systems such as TOWs and javelins, and it would be the most contested beach landing in the history of warfare. It would be more contested than the beach landings that occurred in Normandy during World War II. And just to kind of give you an idea, look at the distance that the Chinese will have to cross while coming under direct fire from advanced anti-ship and missile systems versus the distance the Allied forces had to cross when they landed in Normandy. So you have ranges from 100 miles to 20 miles crossing the English Channel. And if you look at the length of area that needed to be defended, is greater. And there were much more opportunities for amphibious landings near the Normandy beaches than there would be in Taiwan. There's also weather issues in the Straits of Taiwan as well, which would make it very difficult for China to cross over and land. So let's say hypothetically that the Chinese, one, achieve air dominance or air supremacy, which we're not sure could happen. Let's assume that China then crosses the 100-mile Straits of Taiwan and conducts a successful amphibious landing and seizes a beach area, and is able to continue to land forces while probably having its supply lines come under attack. So let's say it does this, and it does land. Again, we're looking at an island of 22 million people, with probably around 10 million males, of which probably 10%, about a million, could serve in some form of military capacity. My best guess would be probably after initial hostilities occur, and we're probably looking at a beach landing 30, 60, 90 days out. You're looking at probably on the low end of about 200,000 active Taiwanese combat troops or personnel, up to 500,000. And again, this would create the most contested beach landing in the history of modern warfare. And this would be done by a country, meaning China, who has very limited operational combat. It just has not seen the kind of combat that would be needed and has a full understanding of the operational art in order to successfully complete some of its objectives. It just wouldn't. And that's not a knock on the Chinese military. It's just, it takes practice, it takes the active use of training methods to successfully undertake this kind of military operation. Now, granted, maybe the Chinese land on Kinmen, and then gain some experience doing that, and then they look at a campaign to take Taiwan. But then, Taiwan is going to mobilize. You're not going to have 500,000 men. You're going to have more than that. It's going to be on a complete war footing, and it's going to be even more difficult. But let's say they do land, being able to move into these major cities with millions of people. They're going to be conducting military operations in urban terrain. They're going to be conducting operations, armored operations over rice fields and rice paddies. They're going to be conducting mountain warfare operations in the jungle. There's going to be a host of skill sets that China simply has not experienced. And it's going to range from individual sniper units operating in urban areas and mountains, to anti-tank teams, to air defense units firing advanced air defense systems. I mean, I don't think people really understand how difficult it would be to seize control of Taiwan. It would be something that China simply cannot currently do. If you have another opinion, feel free to leave it in the comment section. But I hope this just offered some initial insight into some of the challenges that would happen if China decided to invade Taiwan. Thank you, guys.